Right. Good afternoon, New Zealand. Welcome to the Programmatic Pow-Wow. This is our first webinar, and I'm going to try to make this fun. I presume most of you guys read our white paper. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. Don't panic. This is not a test. Over the next half hour, I'm going to cover the basis of programmatic. So sit back, relax, and soak in the programmatic juices. While I know a bunch of you, I haven't met everyone in this session yet. I'm Zane and I run the trading desk at Acquire Online. I'm super passionate about programmatic ad buying and I love what I do. Maybe a bit too much. I'm going to deep dive into programmatic. How does it work and why does everyone, publishers and advertisers, want to be part of it? Having worked as a programmatic trader for the past 5 years, I've lived through many definitions of programmatic. To put it simply, programmatic is the automated process of buying and selling online ads through ad exchanges. Buyers are placed in a second price auction where the highest bidder pays the bidding price of the second highest bidder plus 1 cent. For example, if the highest bidder was $4 and the second highest bidder was $3.80, the highest bidder wins the auction at $3.81. This RTP auction happens within 100 milliseconds. This fraction of second time span allows multiple auctions to be held for a single impression. Since publishers now have multiple opportunities to sell a single impression, many of them set up what is called a daisy chain or a waterfall. This setup is when a publisher's ad server, also called an SSP, creates various levels of flow prices and sends the impression to different demand partners based on price of priority. This is where the term first look impression comes from. It becomes harder and harder to sell the impression at the same price farther down the chain you go because it means that the other groups of buyers do not want it. Thus, the flow price decreases as the impression makes its way down the waterfall. For example, if NZME sets a flow price for a 300 by 250 ad unit on the home page at $10, and demand partner A has a bid response that meets that $10 flow price. Demand partner A is sent to that auction first. Now, if demand partner A did not meet the required price, that impression was sent to demand partner B at a lower flow price. If that impression was filled there either, it was sent to demand partner C and so forth. Hence, the CPM on programmatic never remains the same, and it all depends on how experienced the ad operation staff at the pub side as well as the buy side is. Programmatic is what pushed online advertising to focus more on the value of the user rather than the estimated value of a domain. This is great for advertisers, but not so for publishers who rely on their brand value for those higher CPMs. What this means is that advertisers are now paying for a particular user rather than the brand name. So why is everyone, publishers and advertisers, wanting to use programmatic? The main advantage of programmatic advertising is scalability, efficiency of execution, and advanced targeting for buyers. Publishers can use the SSP to segment and classify their inventory, effectively monetize their traffic, and offer advertising to advertisers across the globe. Well, with programmatic comes a lot of jargons. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have come across a few of them. CPM, CPC, CTR, CPA are metrics of the past. I'm going to focus on CAPEX, PMP, and TMP. Well, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard about CAPEX. CAPEX is the Kiwi Premium Ad Exchange, which is facilitated by the Rubicon project. It's basically 4 Kiwi publishers came together and decided to play as a team. Fairfax, NZME, MediaWorks, and TVNZ, all of them formed an ad exchange called the CAPEX. CAPEX currently gives us demographic targeting, category interest targeting, video targeting. All of this is bought through a PMP which is a private marketplace. PMPs are exclusive invite-only auctions where a publisher and a buyer executes a negotiated deal on a specific inventory that runs programmatically. A DMP, which is a hot buzzword in New Zealand, is a data warehouse. It's a piece of software that sucks up, sorts and houses information, and spits it out in a way that's useful for marketers, publishers, and other businesses. In theory, DMPs can be used to house and manage any form of information. But for marketers, they're most often used to manage cookie IDs and to generate audience segments, which are subsequently used to target specific users with online ads. Two common DMPs in New Zealand are Lorame, which NZME uses, and Crux, which is used by TradeMe. We probably have different webinars talking about DMPs and PMPs and KPEX in details. Moving forward, we'll probably get guest speakers that talk about each of these in detail. With programmatic comes a lot of platforms. Our digital ecosystem is massive. The next two slides will talk about platforms and targeting options. I've listed a few platforms that we can use that acquire online users on a daily basis. Double Verify, which is a viewability solution. It has a pre and post impression analytics. Yahoo Gemini is a native platform. With Yahoo Brightroll coming into the market, there's soon going to be an integration between Yahoo Gemini and Brightroll, which is Yahoo's DSP. Social Move is a social media management platform. It helps us link our Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook advertising under one umbrella platform. MediaMath was voted top 3 DSPs in the world. Moat is a post-impression viewability tracking metric. Acquire Online was the first company in New Zealand to adopt Moat. We track all our campaigns on Moat to measure viewability, scroll velocity, bot traffic, invalid traffic, and so on. Google AdWords is known for its search and GDN. AOL platforms is part of the AOL network, and we use AOL 1, which is the video SSP. Taboola and Outbrain are content discovery platforms. They sit under the native umbrella. DoubleClick Bid Manager is a DSP, which is owned by Google. Integral Ad Science is like Moat and Double Verify. They are a viewability platform. Integral Ad Science offers a pre and post bid solution. Triple Lift is a new native platform. It's the only tag-based native platform. Acquire Online has been testing and trialing this platform for a while. Realytics measures your TV buy against your online traffic. StackIt is another Canadian native platform that we've been using successfully in New Zealand. With all these platforms come a lot of targeting options. I've listed a few targeting options that we use. Most platforms offer demographic targeting. An important point to note is that with demographic targeting is based on login information. So if you're targeting demographics on DBM, you can only target demographics on the ADX, which is the Google Ad Network. Contextual targeting is targeting content on the page. Semantic targeting is great for a niche product like dog food. You could add keywords to your strategy. You could add up to 10,000 keywords on each strategy targeting dog food. What it does is that the technology crawls content, blogs, websites to search for dog lovers or people that talk about dog grooming, and we can show ads for dog food there. Behavior targeting is targeting users' behavior based on his or her browsing habits, search query data. Most of you guys working with the Google Display Network would have heard of in-market and affinity segments. These segments are refreshed every 15 to 30 days, so the data is new and relevant. Third-party data in New Zealand is growing. There's about 9 or 10 different vendors. The top vendors for third-party data are IOTA, AdThis, Excelate, Tata Exu, Lorame, Blue Kai. Weather targeting. Weather targeting is great for a beer brand, for example. You could, if the temperature is greater than 24 degrees, we could trigger the platform to show ads for Steinlager. Postcode targeting is great for brands that have specific offers for specific cities or specific postcode. A Mitre 10 could have a special offer for people living in Grelin. You could target by technology, that's desktop, mobile, smartphones, smart TVs. We could even target by operating systems, iOS versions, and so on. Targeting time of day is great for, if you want to target a weather app, you probably target from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then in the evenings, or keep an always on campaign on the weekends or Friday evening. You can target by browsers, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Mozilla, Internet Explorer. You could language target the browser. You can target by viewability. You can target above the fold, below the fold. Viewability is great because it helps you use a pre-bid and a post-bid solution to make sure that your ads are served on viewable environments. We have about 40 different exchanges to target. Based on experience and campaign length, we kind of add and delete exchanges based on performance and delivery. Each exchange has its own inventory source, so we could also optimize and target by inventory source. Yahoo Mails, for example, we could target SpotX or Gameloft inventory. Cookie recency is to do with remarketing. You could target a pixel based on the lifespan of the pixel. For example, if the user is onto the shopping cart page, we could have a specific ad shown to that user, and that cookie could expire after 24 hours. So if the user is on that cookie for more than 24 hours, we can show them ad number 2 and reduce the bid aggressiveness and the frequency level based on the cookie recency. The next slides talk about GDN and RTB. Where do you move from GDN, which is a proven solution, you're happy with your GDN, but programmatics come to the mix and you want to try and test? I've listed a few differences that we normally see why programmatic is better than GDN. So for example, I've used DoubleClick Bid Manager as one of the programmatic solutions because they're both owned by the same company, Google. GDN uses AdWords as its core technology. It's basically an ad network. Programmatic, on the other hand, uses an algorithm. Each programmatic platform like MediaMath, AppNexus, DoubleClick, PubMatic has its own algorithm and optimization algorithm. In terms of in-house brand safety, Google Display Network has something called Active View, which DoubleClick Bid Manager also has, along with sensitive categories and digital content labels. All of the publishers that get into the DoubleClick Bid Manager exchange are audited and categorized. In terms of third-party brand safety, unfortunately on the Google Display Network, there's no pre-bid solution. On DoubleClick Bid Manager, you could target by integral ad science, which have their track scores. You could target by viewability, greater than 50%, greater than 75%, double verify and moat. All of this cost about 10 cents to 55 cents, depending on how you would like to target. This is 10 cents CPM. In terms of third-party tags, on the Google Display Network, the tags have to be requested. You can use third-party tags, but you need to send those tags to your account manager. On DoubleClick Bid Manager accepts all third-party tags. A VAST tag, the full form of VAST is a video ad serving template. It's normally for video. On the display network, you could only use a YouTube link, which means that you need to have a YouTube channel. You need to upload the video on the YouTube channel. grab that link and run it through the GDN. On DoubleClick Bid Manager, you can upload your creatives directly, or you can use a VAS tag. VPaid support. Google Display Network doesn't support VPaid. On your programmatic platforms, a VPaid is video player ad interface definition. It's basically a video technology that's used when you have rich media video. TrueView was only available on the Google Display Network. That's changed now, and DoubleClick Bid Manager now supports TrueView as well. You can't target by weather on the Google Display Network unless you do it manually. DoubleClick Bid Manager syncs with various weather vendors, and you can target by weather. In terms of inventory, Google Display Network uses AdSense and ADX. It has inventory from YouTube, Gmail, and Maps. On programmatic platforms, you have access to 100% inventory. Everything that's available on the Google Display Network is available programmatically. You can't target Facebook on the Google Display Network. On DoubleClick Bid Manager, you can target Facebook through FBX. This is however, going to in August and September when Facebook is closing down FBX. In terms of PMP deals, private marketplace deals, you can't run any PMPs through the Google Display Network, but you can through Bid Manager. In terms of third-party data, Google Display Network has its own data, which is affinity and in-market segments, and that's all you can use. DoubleClick Bid Manager links in with various data providers. I'm going to talk about Acquire Online and how we use our programmatic technologies and skills and platforms to run a campaign. We start off with the brief from an advertiser or an agency or a direct client. We look at the brief, we analyze the category, we look at site analysis. We use a tool called SimilarWeb that helps us understand the traffic sources, the keywords that are popular on your site. We run a SWOT analysis on your site. We look at the product life cycle. We look at targeting options and recommend budgets. We give you an estimated reach and traffic. Once you're happy with the brief and you're happy with the recommendations and the targeting, once the campaign's live, we optimize the campaign. A campaign cannot be tweaked daily. The algorithm needs to learn and adjust. A good thing to note is that the algorithms are as good as what you tell it to do. For example, if it's a CPA campaign and you're buying on a CPC basis, the algorithm will learn and optimize based on a CPC. It's very important to define your goals at the start of the campaign so that your vendor or your trafficker can buy on a CPC, but always optimize towards a CPA. You might have a high CPC in this case, but a very low CPA. We recommend all our advertisers to have at least one conversion element. There's nothing on the page to track. Tag a button or a toolbar or share toolbar. It's very important to track every element of your campaign. We optimize on devices. We run the campaign on all devices at the start unless said. We optimize on carriers. We optimize towards different device makes. For example, an iPhone sometimes performs better than a Samsung. We optimize on browsers. We realize that the Safari browsers are not very great for conversions. So we run the campaign on all the browsers, but mid-campaign we kind of omit the Safari browser from our targeting. We have an extensive blacklist. Sites like FootWiz, sites like NZ Dating, unknown contenders to have high volumes but very few uniques. Some advertisers are very particular not to show ads on whale oil, which is understandable. We use different bidding methods. We bid on CPC, CPM, optimized CPCs, fixed CPMs. We keep checking the pixels to make sure that they're firing correctly. We look at creatives and we optimize with the best performing creatives. We will recommend new creatives. After After a month, the creatives get old and fatigue. Banner blindness is very common in our industry. It's very important to change your creatives as often as you can. If your campaign's not working and we're looking for premium traffic, we have PMP deals with Capex, with Book a Batch, with different ad networks in New Zealand. We give you weekly reports. These reports give you a summary of the campaign over the last week. We give you recommendations, be it a search campaign, whether your cat retargeting was working, whether your search remarketing was working. We also give you access to a more live dashboard. This is excellent as it makes this entire process transparent. You get to see where your ad was served, on what platform it was served, on what website it was served, the viewability on that website, and so on. We recommend third-party data only if necessary. Third-party data is expensive and sometimes, or most of the times, don't really work. If the campaign is targeting a very niche environment or a particular segment that's not very popular, we use third-party data to make sure we're reaching the right audience. If the budget is small, I recommend not using third-party data at this stage. We focus on lookalike audiences to maximize your reach and find similar audiences. We also use something called moment marketing. Moment marketing is targeting a current event. For example, last week when the All Blacks were playing Wales, we targeted the sports channels. We targeted keywords that are relevant to the game. What this does is we know that most Kiwis would be searching for the game, or searching for scores, or searching for a free streaming app to watch the game. And targeting a moment is great to kind of get your reach up. Post campaign, we give you a final report. We give you a mode analysis. We look at your GA and we tell you if the traffic performed, the traffic didn't perform. We help you set up goals. We help you with your PC and PV conversion, a post-click and a post-view conversion. We give you heat maps on your creatives, and we give you recommendations for your future campaign. Last slide, guys. I'm going to talk about walled gardens. A walled garden is basically Google and Facebook, the holy grails of digital advertising. What these guys are doing is Google now has limited its YouTube inventory buying to double-click bid manager and AdWords. So if you're using a different platform like AppNexus or Rubicon or MediaMath, I can't access YouTube traffic unless I log on to AdWords or double-click bid manager. Facebook is doing the same thing. FBX is going to be non-existent in August or September, and they're going to have their own DSP. So you can't buy Facebook traffic unless you go to Facebook Business Manager and buy traffic to Facebook. Capex, for example, is a walled garden. If you want to buy data from Capex, you need to use the data that they supply. Post-click and post-view and view-through conversions. This has been a topic of discussion on many of our campaigns. How do you define a post-click? How do you define a post-view? If you're a company that uses 4 different vendors and they're all targeting the same inventory, same traffic, the same user, and if one guy gets the post-click, the 4 guys are bound to get the user somewhere in the digital ecosystem. All of these guys, because they're using their own platforms, will have a post-view conversion. It's very important to check your Google Analytics, check your third-party vendor reports, check your platform reports to make sure that your post-click and post-view window are set to an acceptable level. In New Zealand, post-click and post-view windows are 30 days. It varies from campaign to campaign. A travel campaign would probably have a post-click window of 15 days and a post-view window of 3 days. A travel insurance campaign would probably have a post-click window of 5 days and a post-view window of 2 days. And it changes for insurance, the banking institutions, and so on. A view-through conversion is like a post-view conversion, but it's a GDN metric. I suggest if you're going to use multiple platforms to run a campaign, if you're going to use different vendors to run a campaign, use a third-party tracking solution that records only one post view and one post click. It eliminates the embarrassing situation of going back to a client when the client's got 10 conversions on his product and you're reporting 50 conversions. I'm going to finish off by just posing a few questions you could ask to your vendors. Ask your vendors if they're using the right tools to run your campaign. Are you working with the right viewability vendor? Are you tracking the right elements of your campaign? Are you still working on medieval metrics like CPC and CPM? Are you experimenting with new metrics? Are you working on if you're working on a low test budget, are you spending the budget on the most engaging hours in a day, or are you exhausting your budget in the morning? Are you tracking conversion on mobile devices? Few questions to ask your vendors. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, please write something in the chat bar and I'm happy to answer. If not, drop me an email. This was a very basic introduction to programmatic. Programmatic has a lot of elements. Each of the topics I spoke about today, I can talk about in depth if you'd like. Drop us an email, give us a call. We're happy to help.